Research commissioned by the Australian Department of Home Affairs has found 2/3 of Australians leave their private information open to cyber criminals. Data collected shows that users are oversharing personally identifying information on social media sites, which could leave them vulnerable to identity theft or scams. Professor Rao, welcome. So this research found that Australians had personal information like their birthday, email address and location shared with certain apps or social media sites. What are the dangers of having this information so available?
The major problem is that scammers can use that information and tailor and design scams suited to you, which is which is not a good thing. That is the major problem. And also you could be open to your email, especially being sold on the black market.
We keep on hearing warnings about this over and over. What are your thoughts behind why people aren't keeping this information more private?
Couple of reasons. One is the settings, the default settings that are on many of these apps are difficult to change, or you have to go out of your way to work out how to change them. And secondly, people don't realize that their information, this is information that they should not be sharing. They are just reacting to what is being asked instead of thinking about what am I sharing. So for example, people will say, "Hi, today is my birthday, and I am so many years old today," and not realizing they have now revealed their date of birth.
Okay, so we're really keen on getting some practical tips, especially for people who find it difficult after hearing these stories to know where to go to increase their security. So what kind of things do people need to do to ensure their personal data stays private?
For example, in an app, you don't have to share your location. You should not, you could say you're from Australia, or you could say all of Melbourne or Victoria if you want. And I know the people who are really good at this, they will say, Galaxy or something like that. Yeah.
That's really narrowing it down.
That is right. And also, you don't have to share everything right at that moment. So if you are somewhere, you can take pictures and you can share it afterwards, because at the rate at which information is thrown at us these days, very few people are going to see it in real time. They're going to see it tomorrow, day after. So why not just share after the event? That way there's less, because the photographs you share can identify where you are. So do it later. That would be
and when we were discussing this earlier today, the youngsters in the group were saying, "Oh, whatever. I've received emails from different companies saying my information has been compromised in such and such and such and such," and they kind of throw up their hands and saying it's all out there anyway. What do you say to people with that kind of attitude?
See, and then they get bitten at some point, and then it becomes, "Oh, I did not realize." That is the thing, that is what scammers are counting on, that we can't be bothered. Unfortunately, we have to be bothered, or more importantly, maybe the government can get, for example, in the past when we signed up for something or bought something, we would automatically be signed on to an email list. Now they have to give us the choice. You can't opt in people, you have and expect them to opt out. You have to ask them to opt in. So maybe these are the sort of things that the websites, the apps could do. They could give you the option. Do you want to actually share your location? So for example, my Android phone will ask me, for example, if I'm looking for something, they will say the website wants to know your location. Do you want to share this one time or always? So it gives me a chance to say, okay, only this one time. So the minute I close the app, the location is no longer shared.
And what about things like the apps having access to your photos and your microphone, or your camera and microphone?
You should have that off as default. Again, that is the other thing. Why does every single app in the world need to know what's on your camera, or what's on your microphone or your audio? For example, do they need access to your photos? They don't need access to their photos. You can control that. It does take effort. That's the only thing. Can we change the settings so that, all of this becomes an opt-in slowly, not immediately? And I know with my phone as well, if I have not used an app for a couple of months, it will actually revoke all permissions. And then say, okay, all permissions have been revoked. If you want to use them, open it again and things will come back.
Okay, Professor Asha Rao, thanks so much for talking to us from Melbourne.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Lovely to be here.